What I've noticed, ladies and gentlemen, is that this current generation lacks etiquette. And so they carry themselves any old how. They talk to anybody anyhow without feeling guilty about it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I was talking about the way in which Mr. Golding was addressing the Prime Minister of Jamaica as Andrew. And I hear a lot of person, isn't that what's on his birth certificate? Ladies and gentlemen, he is the most honorable, he is Dr. the most honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm very sure that Mr. Golding would not have gone to England if he should go over there and call King Charles. He would never go up to the king if he should meet the king and address him as Charles. He would never do that. He would address him as His Majesty. He would never address him as Charles and say, but it's Charles on your birth certificate. He would be dishonoring the king. Now we have our own people here and we want to dishonor them. They look on a pastor and they want to talk to a pastor anyhow. Yet, ladies and gentlemen, when they want their babies to be dedicated, they come to the pastor. When they want recommendation, they come to the pastor. Yet, ladies and gentlemen, they want to address the pastor any old how. When a police constable or sergeant come to you and said, I am Sergeant so and so and so, do you say to them, what is the name on your birth certificate? Like what one of the constables, a neighbor was giving me problem and I decided to call the police on the neighbor. And when I go out there talking to the police have the audacity. When I said I'm Pastor Adrian Young, the police have the audacity. What is the name on your birth certificate? I was going to ask him. After I told him my name, I was going to ask him this. What's your name, sir? And if he told me constable or sergeant so and so, I was going to ask him the said question he asked me. What is the name on your birth certificate? You see, respect is due, ladies and gentlemen. And out of our common respect, you should address people by their titles, ladies and gentlemen. Because that's a form of honor, that's a form of respect. Don't tell me that, isn't it Andrew on his birth certificate? Who is Mr. Holness? Mr. Holness is the Prime Minister of this country, ladies and gentlemen. So he deserves to be honored. And I noticed that it is mostly the PNP trolls that are always saying foolishness. When I said to them, listen me, guys, you don't address a leader by his name like that. You address a leader by his title. They're going to say, isn't that what's on his birth certificate? That mean. And I hear one of them say that I cannot respect somebody that can't be trusted. And I said to the person, I sent to the person in a text, that mean nobody should respect you, because nobody can trust you either. Because nobody knows you, so they are not going to just trust you like that, because they don't know you. They don't know if you're a thief. They don't know if you're a murderer. They don't know anything about you. So it means then that a person should disrespect you because the person don't know you. So saying that you can't respect a person simply because you don't trust the person is pathetic, ladies and gentlemen. And one other thing that persons don't understand is that titles are very important. That's why they are given, ladies and gentlemen, because a person who is known by their title, ladies and gentlemen, it means that they command certain type of respect. You respect a pastor because he is a pastor. You respect the leader of the country because he's the leader of your country, ladies and gentlemen. So you don't just address your leader with arrogance, you address them with respect. You don't address the pastor with arrogance like what I see many people doing, because, ladies and gentlemen, nobody is bringing them into account for their actions, because in some countries, if you disrespect a leader, it would land you in jail, ladies and gentlemen. But because we're a people who, we give people freedom of speech. People believe that they can just say anything that comes to their mouth about anybody, and nobody will bring them into account for their actions. Ladies and gentlemen, nobody can force you to respect anyone, but it is very important that you learn these things. You learn etiquette, you learn common courtesy, you learn to give honor to those whom honor is due. The scripture speaks about it. Give honor to those who honor is due. And ladies and gentlemen, you don't talk about your leaders with arrogance and as if they are nobodies. And I hear somebody say, oh, Mr. Holness. He didn't even say Mr. Holness. Andrew is a boy compared to Mark. Let me tell you something. What makes a man? What makes a man is character. You have good moral character. You are respected in your communities. You're respected wherever you go. And let me tell you something. No matter how upstanding in society you are, you will always find one or two trolls who do not like you. So they will dishonor you. But you see anybody, ladies and gentlemen, that you see go around dishonoring people, these are the type of people that will never reach anywhere in life, because they don't understand themselves. Learn to understand yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, because it is very important that we know how to talk to people. We know how to respect people for who they are. Not because you may have personal grudges or personal hatred against a person, mean that you should be arrogant against that person. You must understand yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Treat your leaders with respect. And I'm not just talking about the leaders of your country, your community leaders, the leaders of your church. Treat them with respect, ladies and gentlemen. You respect your pastors, you respect your bishops, you pray for them. Ladies and gentlemen, you pray for the leaders of your country. You don't style them anyhow you feel like styling them. And many other persons who are doing it are young people who don't even know better. And when persons try to correct them, instead of taking correction, they worst off start talking their nonsense. Only fools don't take correction, ladies and gentlemen. Whenever they try to open their mouth in arrogance or try to disrespect me, I use the scripture to them that says, wisdom is too high for fools. And I've noticed many of them are fools, ladies and gentlemen, because you can't correct them. Only fools doesn't take correction. And if a person is wrong and you point out the wrong, that person should humble enough to say, I was wrong, I'm sorry. Let me just do it properly. Let me do it the right way. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it does no harm. It does no harm to show good manners to people. It does no harm to honor and respect people. Because, let me tell you something, you want people to respect you, right? So when you go and you get your PhD and your masters, when you're explaining yourself, when you're introducing to yourself, when you're introducing yourself to someone else, you said, I am XYZ PhD. I am Mr. XYZ PhD. That's how you introduce yourself. And the person is not going to say to you, oh, it's PhD on your birth certificate. No, they're going to respect you. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you're an honorable person. You're going to call a person like Dr. Holness. You're going to say, he's not a doctor. The man is a doctor in politics. Many of you who are criticizing him are not even half of his level. You don't even achieve half of what he achieved, but you want to be disrespectful. Come on, people, I'm expecting better from you. And you young people, learn to humble yourself, else God is going to humble you. Humble yourself or God will do it for you.